Hi guys, welcome back to another live stream. Today we're going to talk about Susan, the doctor's granddaughter, and my theory about her. Now I'm going to give you background about her, her appearance, her mm, the concept and development, and how she was in television and other media. And I will talk about my theory about her from the fourth series during the 2008 or 2008 through 2010 specials in the end of time, post 1 2 later on. But before we get started, chat's wide open. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and share with your friends on social media. So let's get started, shall we? So Susan Foreman was also known as Susan Campbell in spin-off media as a fictional character in the British sci-fi show as Doctor Who. She was the Doctor's granddaughter and the original companion of the first incarnation when she was played by Carolyn Ford in 1996 to 1964 in the first and second season of Doctor Who. Mm, Then she replaced her role in the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who called The Five Doctors in 1983. Then the 30th anniversary charity special called Dimensions in Time in 1993, and then the 15th season. Yes, I have my fan on. Sorry about that. I have to have my fan on to help cool down my room a bit. Alright, so the concept and development of her was the earlier scripts for the series had come from a different origin for the character of Susan, that an alien princess named Suzanne saved by the first Doctor from the from a world different of its own. Carolyn Ford recalled that she was told her character would be an average type girl with all that power of that. Plus, she would be she would have telepathic powers. She was going to be able to fly the TARDIS as well as the Doctor and have the most extraordinary wardrobe. However, none of that happened, and it was decided that the character would be more of an ordinary teenage, giving younger viewers a figure to identify with. With the original outline of that series didn't intend the pair to be related. Writer Anthony Coburn, that created the family tie that Susan was the Doctor's granddaughter. According to founding producer Vanity Lambert, Coburn felt there was something not quite right proper about an old man traveling around the galaxy with a young girl for a companion. Ford thought that the Doctor and Susan's relationship was different from that later characters who had been branded as companions because she was also the Doctor's granddaughter. Ford stated that the little background information on Susan's character or history was provided to her by the production team, and so to inform her performance, she would often discuss and invent ideas about Susan with her co-star William Hurt. He was the first Doctor then, He got replaced in 2027 by another actor from Harry Potter. I forget who it was, but let's continue. The establishment that the Doctor had done something to annoy his own people that he caused him and Susan's exile. Ford also points out that suggests that Susan was not the Doctor's natural granddaughter were first put forward in the 1990s. However, in 2013, she revealed that the producers had intentionally insisted, insisted that Susan didn't refer to the Doctor as her granddaughter in the Five Doctors special. Ford recalled they said, "We don't really want people to perceive him as having, you know, sex with someone to father a child." I, she just screamed with hysterical laughter and said, in that case, I'm not doing it. The script was changed to include references to the characters' relationship. Media historian James Chapman has written the way Susan was written made her limited because she just required it to fill the role of the screamer and often had little to do beyond looking pretty and frightened. Ford was seemingly displeased with her character, sometimes finding her pathetic and frustrating because she was not allowed to develop. In addition, Ford found the series too repetitive. Oh, wow. Susan became the first companion to leave the program just after 51 episodes. Ford felt that Susan was allowed to develop more in the Big Finish audio dramas. Okay, so this is where we get to the appearance of the theory about Susan. Okay, so on the television side of appearance, Susan is introduced in the first Doctor Who story, An Unearthly Child. 1963 was the first episode focusing on her unusual teenager with advanced knowledge of history and science. This catches on the attention of her teachers at Coal Hill School mm, Ch- in Chesterton, known as William Russell, and Barbara Wright, known as Jacqueline Hill, who follow her home to a junkyard owned by an mm, unseen puppeteer named I. M. Foreman. It is implied within the story that Susan took the surname Foreman from the junkyard sign as an analysis for use at the school. When when her chemistry teacher assumed that her granddaughter was Dr. Foreman, the doctor replied, "Doctor, who was you talking about?" Indicating that he was unfamiliar with the surname. It revealed that she and her grandfather, the doctor, are exiles from their own people in another time, another world, and have been traveling through space and time in the machine she named the TARDIS, and is from an acronym Time and Relative Dimension in Space. Ian and Barbara gained this knowledge. The Doctor whisked them away in the TARDIS and against their will, but he cannot accurately fly the machine. Susan continues to travel with the Doctor and her two teachers until 1964 serial The Dark Invasion of Earth. During the events of the story, Susan falls in love with Campbell, Peter Fraser, a young freedom fighter from the 22nd century. However, Susan feels that she has stayed with and take care of her granddaughter. The Doctor, realizing that Susan is a now grown woman and deserves a future away from him, locks her out of the TARDIS and leaves after a tearful farewell. Ford reprised her role as Susan on television in the special, 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, 1983, which, but no mention of David, or what became of him, what was made on screen, and novelization of the same story. They are still married. Ford also reprised her role in the 1993 charity special Dimensions in Time. In the current for Fendrick, correct me if I'm mispronouncing the words, okay? The Seventh Doctor states that he did not know if his family. He, the Seventh Doctor states that he doesn't know if he has any family. In the end of the world, the Ninth Doctor states that his home world has been destroyed and that he is the last of the Time Lords. Now, the Doctor keeps saying that he's the last of the Time Lords, but really, he's not, because the Master and the Rani are still out there. Well, the Master could be somewhere out there, but remember, he's trapped in the Tormaker's tooth. So, be clear on that. Let's be clear. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. Although Susan is not mentioned by name, the Ninth Doctor says in Father's Day that his whole family had died, and in the child, the Doctor Constantine remarks that he has been a father and grandfather, but now he's neither. To which the Doctor replies, "I know the feeling and fear her." The tenth Doctor states he was a dad once, but does not elaborate on this revelation in The Doctor's Daughter. The Doctor tells Donna Noble he's been a father before. I lost all that a long time ago, along with everything else in meeting. I can see them, the hole they left, and all the pain that filled it. Now that's interesting, right? He says in Fear Ho he doesn't have any family, but he clearly does. He just wants to try to forget it. Now, let's continue, shall we? In the realms of Akatan, mm, the 11th Doctor recounts an occasion that he traveled with his granddaughter to the rings of the planet Akaton. In 2013, the episode Journey to the Center of the TARDIS contains audio from a scene in An Unearthly Child where Susan explains how she named the TARDIS. A brief glimpse of Susan played by an unidentified body double is seen in an opening scene of The Name of the Doctor, which depicts the Doctor and Susan leaving Gallifrey in a yet-to-be-camouflaged TARDIS. Following the revelation in the 2013 specials The Day of the Doctor and The Time of the Doctor, the Time Lords were not, as originally believed, wiped out by the Doctor. Susan's fate after the Five Doctors remains ambiguous. In The Death of Heaven 2014, the 12th Doctor, Peter Caprio, companion Clara Oswald, known as Jenna Coleman, pretends to be the Doctor in order to confuse the Cybermen and buy herself time to escape. She describes the Doctor's children and grandchildren as missing and I assume dead. In the class episode For Tonight We Might Die, Susan's name is displayed on the Roll of Honor in Coal Hill Academy along with Clara Oswald and Danny Pink. A photograph of Susan is seen on the Doctor's desk in a university where he is lecturing in 2017 episode The Pilot, beside a photograph of River Song. Susan seen upon in her appearance in the Interstellar Song Contest 2025, which was last year, which followed multiple references to the character in the 15th Doctor's era. When the 15th Doctor visits 1963 with his companion, Ruby Sunday, in The Devil's Cold, he mentions that his younger self is currently living with Susan in Shoreditch, but he subsequently exp- ex, sub, subsequently specifically that Susan is almost certainly probably dead now after the genocide of the rest of the Time Lords by the Master, which is stated to have rolled across space and time like a great big cellular explosion, wiping out the species, not just on Gallifrey, but across the universe. Okay, now that's interesting because if you remember, we saw the Rani during the 15th Doctor's era. So how can that be if Susan's dead? Good point, right? Yes. Now, later on in the season, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the Doctor believes that a woman who has been recurring throughout his travels, played by Susan Twist, is a regenerated version of Susan. This dismisses all the villain after the villain in the finale, Sutek, reveals that upon looking inside the TARDIS, he saw Susan's name and decided to use her as a trap to lure in the Doctor. He reveals that recurring Susan Triad's character, the fact of an apparition of his own design, he is planning them everywhere the TARDIS has landed since the TV story Pyramids of Mars. The Doctor remarks in season one finale on Disney Plus regarding Susan that he will maybe find her one day, which I hope that day is soon, and that would be very amazing to see that happen one day. Because if the 15th Doctor joins up with Billy Piper's Doctor to find Susan, that would be amazing. Continuing on, Susan returned in the 6th episode of the 15th season the Interstellar Contest in 2025, which was last year. Now every season appears in the series version of the 15th Doctor after his life is endangered. Susan encourages the Doctor to find her and tries to stop him from torturing Kid. That scene, when the Doctor was doing that, I was like, wow, this is how like the 12th Doctor was getting angry at the character as Shield in the ninth series. I was like, okay, I can see that the Doctor has some issues, which clearly he resolves and he works it out. Now, in Wishworld, Susan briefly appears on the television screen while he's trapped in a world created by the Rani and Comrade Clark. However, the Doctor doesn't notice her appearance. Now that's interesting, right? How can she be on the TV but not be recognized by the Doctor? I wonder how could that be? Hmm. Very interesting, should we say? Yes. Now, for the appearance on the other media, Susan's character have been expanded upon in a spin-off media in 1983. Doctor Who then script editor Eric Saward wrote a short story dealing with the Doctor's departure from Gallifrey to Radio Times Doctor Who 20th anniversary special. The story, Birth of a Renegade, depicts Susan as a descendant of Time Lord founder Rassilon and the last surviving member of Gallifrey's royal family, unrelated to the Doctor. A later script, ed- a later script editor, Andrew Cotnell, had another explanation of Susan's origins. This account, part of the Car- Cutmoon Master Plan, was not used in the program but was used as a background for several of the Virgin New Adventures novels, mostly Nobility Longbourn by Mark Platt. In this version, Susan is the granddaughter of a mysterious Californian founder known as the Other, who may have been reincarnated as the Doctor. The Doctor has traveled back to the Time Lord's civilian and rescued Suzanne, who recognized him as her grandfather. The character has also appeared in several licensed novels. She has made cameo appearance in the 1994 New Adventures novel, All-Consuming Fire and Stars, in 1995's Virgin Missing Adventures novel, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. She has been in three past Doctor Adventures novel sets within her time on television programs: The Witch Hunters, 1998, City of the World, City at End's World's End, 1999, and The Time Travelers, 2005. Later, the latter explains why the Doctor left Susan during the events of the novel. The Doctor becomes involved in the British Army's time travel experiments, which risked him being noticed by the Time Lords. He then resolves to begin looking for a place where Susan can be safe and content. So, if he is ever Apprehended by their people, she will be free. Susan reappears in the 1998 Eighth Doctor's Adventures novel Legacy of the Daleks by John Peel, which takes place after the events of the Daleks' invasion of Earth. At the end of the novel, Susan mm, comes to possession of the Master's TARDIS after he tries to capture her and is once again able to roam time and space. The 2001 Telos novelty Time and Relative takes place just prior and to Unearthly Child and involves Susan and several of her classmates from Coal Hill School trying to survive an alien invasion of Earth led by a race of ice beings called the Cold, and at the same time convince the Doctor to stop the attack. Now, in 2003, Tito's novels Fred, which also takes place prior to the serial Unearthly Child. Susan's name was given to her from a young girl in a beside human medical facility on another planet after the girl's mother. The Eighth Doctor's novel somehow never depicts the Doctor adopted granddaughter Zazana as an alien princess who later traveled to the junkyard in 1996 and 1993 with a man who resembled the first Doctor. In 2017 novel A Brief History of the Time Lords, an image of Susan is drawn as an image of Susan is shown as one of the things that the Doctor took with him leaving Gallifrey, although she is listed as the president's daughter. Ah, now that's interesting, isn't that, folks? Oh, okay. So Susan is played, or also appears by Susan. Let me start that back again. Susan also appears played by Ford in the Chronicles audio drama series on Big Finish Quinn's 2010, which takes place before the television series when the Doctor and Susan were traveling alone. In the Big Finish bonus released Unearthly Child in 2010, Susan is reunited with the Doctor in his eighth incarnation by which who is Paul McGann, and as has a son named Alex, who is Jake McGann. She appears in the Eighth Doctor's audio plays in Relative Dimensions 2010 and Lucy Miller to the Death in 2011. Later short trip, All Hands on Deck, Susan decides to leave her life on Earth and join the Time War with a box set. Susan's war depicting her service to the war. She helps the Time Lords form an alliance with the Centenaries to gain the aid of their telepathic recruits, also recruiting Ian to act as a diplomat in the process. Sphere of influence and related missions, including capturing a Dalek agent on Florian, the uncertain shore, and preventing a plan to configure the vortex-dwelling Overrax as a weapon against the Daleks, as Susan recognized they were too dangerous assets of war. She was briefly manipulated by a Dalek agent to go back to 1986 to try to and help them retrieve the hand of Omega before the hand could be used to destroy Skaro. But she and the Eighth Doctor are able to trick the Daleks into taking a fake hand without alerting the renegade Daleks of that era presence of the Time World Daleks, the shortage intervention. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. Okay, so Ford also played an alternate version of Susan in Big Finish Doctor Who's unboxing audio plays Autumn Mortuary in 2003, a Storm of Angels 2005, which Susan has become president of Gallifrey. In 2003, Doctor Who unboxing Exile, an alternate Doctor who latest regenerated was female by mm, Annabelle Weir, settles on Earth in 2003 using the identity and 1963 school records of Susan Foreman. On July 1994, BBC Radio for broadcast whatever happened to Susan Foreman, a humorous investigation into Susan's background. Susan was portrayed by Jane Ashner in 2013 BBC drama and Adventure in Time and Space, which told the story of the first 3 years of the show. Claudia Grant played Karen Ford. Grant was then Grant then went on to play Susan herself in the series of the first Doctor Who for big first Doctor stories for Big Finish. Okay, so this is the last post is getting a little bit interesting. So in short story plus play, the 13th Doctor discovered a message in the TARDIS left for her by Susan, informing her before she had activated the TARDIS recording mode. She left the Dalek invasion of Earth. Okay, so now you know the background of Susan. Here is my theory. Now, if you remember seeing her in the 15th Doctor's era during the Interstellar Contest and Wishwound, and you see her appear to the Doctor, right? Now, if you watch the End of Time Part 1 and 2, you see you see a woman that looks like Susan on Wilf's TV in the End of Time Part 1, and you see a woman with Time Lords that looks like Susan in Part 2 of the End of Time. Now, is it possible the woman that we saw from the 15th Doctor's era could have been the same woman in the 10th Doctor's era in the End of Time Parts 1 and 2? Yes, it could have been. That is a good theory because the woman who talks to Wilf sounds and looks like Susan Foreman that we see during the 15th Doctor's era, during the Interstellar Contest and Wishwood. Now, if the Doctor finds Susan again, I would like to see the 15th Doctor team up with Billy Piper's Doctor and find her to have a cool adventure for the 2026 Christmas episode. That would be awesome and amazing to see for this year, and then pass it on to a fresh start of Doctor Who, ending all the gods, the Pantheon gods, and joining a new, fresh idea for that. If they could find Susan, they could end the whole god like Pantheons and bring a new, fresh slate to Doctor Who. That would be very interesting and very fresh idea to do with Susan. I hope you guys enjoy this live stream, and if you enjoyed past live streams, go ahead and check out my channel and watch those past live streams, and let me know how you like them. I hope you enjoy this live stream, and I will see you guys next time for another live stream of the Light Clear channel. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.